It's another exciting edition of Shiftwork here at Russell Steaks, Chops, and More. I'm Clay Moden, and Andrew Moquin is joining me from Andrew's Jewelers. Can I call you Andy?
Andy's fine.
We want to know a lot about Andrew's Jewelers today, but tell me a little bit about you and your background.
I started in the jewelry business when I was 16 years old. It was interesting because I remember I had a job working as a seasonal salesperson at a local department store, and I was sitting in my physics class. My buddy sitting behind me tapped me on the shoulder. He goes, "My dad wanted to thank you." And I said, "Your dad? I don't even know your dad. Thank me for what?" He said, "Well, you helped him with an anniversary gift for my mom." And he said he was so elated with how you helped him, and you were so informative, and you worked so hard, he just wanted me to thank you. So right then and there, that's kind of, that moment is when my jewelry career really started.
That's
when I was 16.
So you go from that moment, and then I understand, this all started for you as an owner pretty young. How do you go from that moment to the ownership?
Well, I was 22 years old when I started Andrew's Jewelers.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. And I worked throughout high school. I worked at a jewelry department in a department store. And as soon as I finished school, I got my first serious job in the jewelry business, working as an apprentice, doing repair work, design work, custom work, working the counter. By the time I was 21, I got promoted to a district sales manager, and I was running 4 stores at 21 years old. But the whole time I was doing it, the whole time I knew, I feel like I could do this better, or I feel like we could excel here. But you always have those constraints of working within a corporate environment. I couldn't flex those creative muscles. And when I was 22, 23, I started out on my own. I said, I got to do this. It was a small little repair shop in South Buffalo, on Seneca Street in South Buffalo. And I started off with $3,000 and a jewelry catalog and a desk. I had a desk too.
In that part of time when you are in high school and then taking the move to become an owner, what's the family life? What's your mom and dad or your brothers and sisters, if you have any? What are they thinking?
So, they were really supportive, but, I came from very humble beginnings. It's Buffalo. There's a lot of entrepreneurship, but ingrained is that core, blue collar, hardworking, salt of the earth. But when they really saw things take off, then it was like I had their support 1,000%.
When you first start a business like that and you're with a desk and a catalog, how do you attract customers? Because, at that point, you're not known.
Well, it's funny you say that because I remember my first radio ad that I ran. So I had my radio rep sitting in front of me and I'm negotiating my first radio buy. Strangely enough, my first radio campaign was $3,000. So my radio rep looks across the counter and he says, I can't help but notice that's your last $3,000. He goes, I don't know if I want to take that check. I said, you're not doing a very good job of selling me, Right, yeah. But he said, I hope this works. I said, me too. I said, but it will. I ran like a weekend sale on engagement rings, and the door opened at 11, and 11:01, the guy walks in and buys an engagement ring, and it was $6,000, and I got all my money back from the very first radio ad.
That's a really cool experience. Someone comes into the door and they're buying engagement rings, but it's something more than that, isn't it? With you guys, it's we're selling you an engagement ring, but you're selling a long-term relationship for somebody.
A bond is sort of a corny way of describing it, but it's really the truth because you're in it thick and thin with them for every single occasion their entire life. On my way here today to this interview, I saw a customer that I sold an engagement ring to as I was walking out the door 20 years ago. She was telling me about her son is in his junior year at Alabama, and I'm just like, my mind is like blown. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, April, we started this relationship together. I sold you an engagement ring out of my tiny little store on Seneca Street in South Buffalo, and now your son is at his junior year in Alabama. I said, this is nuts. But that's 20 years of a relationship. Every occasion.
Goes from there.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's actually very humbling too.
So I understand you've got some children at home. 4?
I have 4, 4 little animals.
What are their ages?
My oldest is 12, my middle child is 5, and I have twins that are 3.
Jeez, I don't know how you keep up with business and that. How do you make enough time for everything?
It's hard, Like I was telling my wife the other day, I said, I don't even know what I was doing with my time prior to having kids. Like, what the heck was I doing?
Great point.
It's a very difficult balance. You just have to use the kids as your family as a motivation to work harder and more efficiently.
Now that I have kids, I always say, why don't we call everybody we know that's single or that doesn't have kids yet and tell them to go out? Like, go out and have fun right now.
Yeah, you live vicariously through your friends.
I want to know what's going on in the world.
Thank God for Instagram and Facebook.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I would never see the world anymore.
You brought up a great point right there, though, because I'm sure social media has really helped your business as well.
I believe in social media, and it's a great way to connect with the customers, but I also feel that sometimes if you spend too much time, you forget that human connection, that touch that goes along with, one-on-one conversation, shaking a hand, giving a customer a hug, looking into their eyes and seeing the excitement they have on, the prospects of a new wedding or an engagement ring, and you just can't replicate that.
Do you monitor reviews and that kind of thing as a business owner? Is that something you pay attention to?
I do. Reviews are really important, and I take them very seriously, and we have literally hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews, which I'm very proud of. But I'm equally as proud as of the 1-star reviews. Everyone gets them, because I know that if we get one, it's a perfect opportunity to show our customer what we're really made of.
Do you think your kids would ever take over the business? Is that something you hope that happens someday?
My 5-year-old is already talking about it, if you can believe that.
I can believe it, because you started young.
Yeah.
So.
He thinks that the workshop, anything can fix it. Like his little toy vacuum breaks, and he's got me taking it into the store.
Oh, I love that.
Daddy, can you take this to the workshop, the jewelry store, and fix it? But even my oldest is, sometimes I catch her drawing rings.
Well, I appreciate your time, and good luck with the family. Certainly sound like a busy guy.
Good luck with you too. Congratulations on your.
Thank you. It's constant chaos. We haven't slept in 3 years, but you know how it goes.
And you won't sleep for another 3 years.
So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Craig.
It's Andrew Moquin from Andrew's Jewelers, Andy, and another exciting edition of Shiftwork here at Russell Steaks Chops and More.